Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Tom with Capo Fetish. Let's talk about some early Psych tracks from 1965. We talk a lot about 66. That was when things were kind of exploding with Revolver, Pet Sounds, singles like I Had Too Much to Dream Last Night by the Electric Prunes. And then, of course, 67, it has just exploded. It's all over the place. But what about those early signs of psychedelia in 65? Let's talk about that. Let's start off here with a song recorded in January 1965. The initial version of Mr. Tambourine Man by Bob Dylan on Bringing It All Back Home. The lyrics, take me on a trip upon your magic swirling ship, is so far removed from, how many roads must a man walk down from 2 years earlier on Blowing in the Wind. Dylan is just full on, just stream of consciousness going on here. It started with the previous album, Another Side of Bob Dylan, with like Chimes of Freedom, In My Back Pages, and songs like that. But here he's kind of laying the groundwork for like psychedelic imagery and kind of the movement to come in the next year or two. So throwing in this track here, Mr. Tambourine Man, of course, the Byrds, about 6 months later, would have a huge #1 hit with it, ushering in the folk rock movement. So Mr. Tambourine Man by Bob Dylan, not psychedelic music, but definitely psychedelic imagery. A few months up the road, in June 65, we have the Yardbirds releasing a couple of pre-Psych tracks, one being Heart Full of Soul, which kind of, the guitar sound kind of mimics the sitar. Really, really unique guitar sound for 1965 there by Jeff Beck. And I guess initially they did want a sitar on the track, but it never worked out. But somehow he was able to conjure up those sitar sounds from his Telecaster, and just an amazing track. I believe that was like a top 10 here, or top 15 in the US. And then another track on this album here, by the way, this is a US compilation, Having a Rave Up with the Yardbirds, only released in the US. Half of it was live, half of it was studio. But the other groundbreaking track too that kind of signals the emerging Psych scene is the track Still I'm Sad, which is kind of like this Gregorian chant, really dark, moody. Kind of sounds like something that may have been on the Good, Bad, and Ugly soundtrack. I've always thought this track was so amazing. And it's dark, it has that Eastern influence, and along with Heart Full of Soul, it has that kind of beginnings of raga that are starting to emerge here in 1965. So yeah, Heart Full of Soul and Still I'm Sad, two prime examples of some like early Psych from the Yardbirds from 1965. From the album Having a Rave Up with the Yardbirds, a US only release. Good stuff. And then I thought I'd showcase this. If you're looking for one really just stellar Yardbirds compilation, back in I think it was the early 90s, this, I think it's an Australian label, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure. There's a label called Raven. They put out this Over, Under, Sideways, Down 28-track compilation. Really, really great sound. Here are the tracks. 28 tracks, ranging from Baby What's Wrong all the way to Think About It. All the key deep cuts from, Roger the Engineer, the early albums. So if you're looking for just one single compilation disc of the Yardbirds, this is fantastic. Released by Raven, called Over, Under, Sideways, Down, a comprehensive collection from 63 to 68, 28 tracks. So if you find this, pick it up. It's well worth getting for the sound, and just you get a lot of bang for your buck. Forward up to 1 month in past June 65 with the Yardbirds' Heart Full of Soul. We've got the Kinks releasing See My Friends, which is really a groundbreaking track here in 65. We've got Dave Davies using this this kind of droning effect that was never really heard on a single before. This is a song that failed to attract many listeners in the US. It didn't even hit the top 100. Wasn't featured on their greatest hits album in 66. I think it was a top 15 in the UK though. Of course, in hindsight, it's been labeled as a groundbreaking pre-psychedelic track, even though the Kinks were never a psychedelic band, or maybe only a few instances in their discography where they were kind of trending towards psych, maybe like Lazy Old Sun off something else or Wicked Annabella, but Kinks never really recorded a purposeful psychedelic track. But this one even got McCartney excited, and he said, I think he there was a interview I read with Dave Davies saying that McCartney said, "You bastards, you beat us to it." So just a phenomenal track on so many levels here. See My Friends from the Kinks, released in July '65. A groundbreaking early Psych track from 1965. Good stuff. And then I don't know if you've seen the performances on Shindig. This is a VHS tape I've had for years. I picked it up in probably the late 80s, early 90s. It's the Kinks full Shindig performances from the mid 60s, and they lip sync to See My Friends, and it is just fantastic. You got Ray on acoustic guitar, Dave on his hollow body. I believe it's a Guild or a Gibson, I'm not sure, but here's the songs they play on here. So I'm sure some of this stuff's on YouTube to watch, but really a great throwback to the early Kinks on Shindig, doing You Really Got Me, See My Friends, Set Me Free, Tired of Waiting for You, All Day and All the Night, Who'll Be the Next in Line, I'm a Lover, Not a Fighter, It's All Right, Long Tall Shorty, and I Gotta Move. And then going up a month in August '65, Dylan was really upping the ante with the stream of conscious lyrics. Just an incredible album here. My favorite of his. A song like Desolation Row really puts it out there as far as the lyrical imagery and the hallucinations and everything. Another prime example of just lyrical imagery influencing the upcoming psychedelic era. This whole album is just full of those kind of lyrics, obviously, like a Rolling Stone, Ballad of a Thin Man, Queen Jane Approximately. Just a complete stream of conscious classic here. So we're throwing that in the mix as well. And I don't know if a lot of you have heard this or seen this. It's been available for a while. It's Bob Dylan's Live at the Newport Folk Festival from '63 to '65, all his performances. This is really a great watch. It just shows you how Dylan's progressing, I mean, just radically from '63 through '64 through '65. He's not even the same guy he was 2 years prior in '63 when you look at these '65 performances. And, you can see even when he's playing at the Newport Festival in '65 that, I'd say a good portion of the audience is digging what he's doing electric. Some of the old guarders are still booing, but I don't think it was the disaster it's made out to be. I think a lot of people were digging his new direction. So just a fantastic DVD. If you've never seen it, pick it up or check it out. Bob Dylan's Live at the Newport Folk Festival, '63 through '65. All the performances, all the songs. And then we're going to forward into, of course, December '65 with the groundbreaking Rubber Soul. A couple of key tracks on here, obviously influencing the psychedelic era to come. The first being Norwegian Wood. The first use of a sitar on a pop song was a big deal. George Harrison is basically playing the melody line, but the song is just, obviously just legendary and very influential. And then we have a track like The Word, where Lennon's talking more about communal love, love for all, rather than the usual boy-girl stuff that the Beatles would do in their early days, like Thank You Girl. So a couple of key moments here on Rubber Soul, early Psych tracks from '65, Norwegian Wood, and The Word. And then later on in the month, in December of '65, you got Donovan recording his classic Sunshine Superman song in December of '65. And this wasn't released until like August '66. It became a #1 hit in the US. A huge global song all over the place, and the first psychedelic song to top the US charts. So fantastic track. And then you've got other songs on here too that are definitely, you've got The Trip on here, you've got Season of the Witch. So Donovan was really kind of ahead of the game here with the psychedelic movement. Though the album was released in '66, the track Sunshine Superman was recorded in December of '65. And then, of course, in December of '65, one of the major psychedelic tracks would be recorded. This version would not be released. This is the original Byrds 8 Miles High, recorded at RCA Studio in '65, December of '65. This was released by the Sundays label, along with the song Why, which was recorded at the same time. Both real, early examples of Psych, using that kind of Ravi Shankar kind of playing on the Rickenbacker, really ahead of its time. I've read stories where McGuinn and Crosby liked this initial version of 8 Miles High better. I like it. but it seems like it kind of lacks the power of the initial single released in '66. It's way more loose, a little more avant-garde sounding, but it is fantastic. And then, of course, a month later, they released the initial one on Columbia. Columbia would not release this because it was recorded at an RCA studio and not a Columbia studio. So they went ahead and re-recorded the classic single at Columbia Studios with Y on the flip side. And it was released in January '66. And it did reach about 15 on the charts in the US, but it fell off the charts because of the supposed controversial lyrics about being high, even though it was about a plane ride. So another just, landmark tune here. I think one of the best of the early Psych tracks. And then while we're talking about, 1965 music, I thought I'd offer up a couple of really cool books here. This one was written by Andrew Grant Jackson. It came out in 2015. It's called The Most Revolutionary Year in Music, 1965. This really is a fantastic read. Highly recommend this. Of course, it talks about the music, the culture, all the events happening in '65. Highly recommend it. Good stuff. And then if you're looking for just a really fantastic book on the psychedelic era, there's this book that came out in '97 called I Want to Take You Higher, the psychedelic era from '65 to '69. Just full of amazing pictures from the era. And what I really like about this is that it has a whole section here of the US and UK charts of when psychedelics started. So we have like the US here, starting with 8 Miles High, and then it goes through the year chronologically from 65 through 66, 67. And then you turn a couple of pages and they start with some of the songs that spearheaded the movement in England, starting with Tomorrow Never Knows in '66 and Painted Black, and all the major UK psychedelic songs from 65 through 69, as well as the US. So really great read, some really great shots from the era, 65, 69 era. I think it's still available. You can find it used, but I highly recommend getting this. This is fantastic. So do you have any more to offer up in the comments section? I really, really try to dig deep and find more like kind of early Psych tracks from '65. If you have any more to offer up, put them in the comments section. As always, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you dig the content across the channel and you're new to the channel, press subscribe. It's absolutely free. And we'll see you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.